Howdy, boys and girls. Welcome back. This is the Carla and Crappy Show. For those of you who listened to the intro a week ago and were confused that perhaps you were not listening to the Carla and Crappy Show, I'm here to confirm that this is the Carla and Crappy Show.
Oh, good, because I was really confused last week.
I was wondering what that was. And I'm Carla. That's Crappy. Hi, folks. It's week 13 of the college football season, known widely around these parts as Wivalwy week. To our guest, that's just I've given up trying to pronounce that correctly, so we give in to Wivalwy week. There's a ton of stuff to cover. We're going to get to all of it, but first, as you heard me mention, we have a guest, and I am super stoked he's kind of like the official college football player of the Carla and Crappy Show, because we talk about it every week.
Does this mean that he has an NIL deal with us?
We're gonna have to work on that. I'm not sure. We can work something out. Yeah, I get a t-shirt or something. I don't figure something out. I'm allowed to. I'm as your uncle, I'm allowed to give you stuff, right?
I believe so.
Okay.
I'm a little rusty with how all that works.
Yeah, I know. This is a new position for me as well. Guys, that's Drew Powell, Cornell running back, my nephew, as I said. This is a great time to talk to him. A, his season is over. But B, his season ended on a pretty nice note. Which we will get to. In fact, we're just turning everything upside down. We're gonna start with this week's Big Red Bears report because he's here. So last weekend's game was, if you're hung up on wins and losses, a tough loss.
Definitely.
55-42 at Columbia. Columbia is the rival for one of the primary rivals for Cornell. Finished at a 500 season. Which again, as I pointed out multiple times, this is the team that was picked to finish last in the league, and so coming in at 500 actually ain't bad. For our purposes, Drew finished with 31 yards on 8 carries, one more reception for 9 yards, I believe. Let's just start with that game, and I'll tell you. As you may or may not be aware, your mom and your grandmother and I text through all your games. There's this conversation. Aaron is on at least a couple more text threads, like with Cornell football moms or something. Yeah. And Aaron and I, your mom and I, agreed on this, that after your carry just before the touchdown in the second quarter.
Yep.
I watched that and I'm like, that is since he's been at Cornell, that's the first time I've seen a carry that looks like high school Drew. Oh, yeah. And it was just, it's just such a perfect encapsulation of what you can do. Acceleration through the hole, a couple subtle cuts, finish with power. Aaron, your mom and I agreed. It's like, yeah, that's there he is. And with injuries and everything, that's really like the first time we've seen this in a really long time. What do you recall about that play?
Well, for one, it felt amazing. Like you said, like I haven't had a true carry like that.
Yeah.
Since high school, honestly. I haven't been hit like that since high school. I'm still all bruised up. Sore.
Okay.
It definitely felt good. To go so long, almost fell out of the groove, just going through the motions with practices and stuff, not really getting the full feel of what a game is like. So that was a lot of fun.
It was really cool because obviously, you get a lot more reps that we don't see. But it really felt like Saturday's game for the first time, that you were really that you were really part of what was going on. Yeah. Are you healthy-ish at the moment? Was the ankle bothering you at all during the game?
No. So literally like a week before that, I was still struggling to run, honestly. And then I got to practice the week of Columbia last week, and it started feeling fine with my brace, and it's all taped up. So I didn't really feel it at all during the game.
Okay, that's excellent.
And then once you have the ball in your hands, there's so much adrenaline, you don't think about it regardless. So
okay. If we can keep you that way, I was going to get you like a big thing of bubble wrap and send it to your house at Naples for Christmas. Can we work something up like that for okay?
Let's do it.
We'll see if we can make that happen. Carla, what do you have a question or two?
Yeah. So for people who, if we've done our best to convince listeners that Ivy League football, like we need to be paying attention to Ivy League football.
It's fun stuff.
What's your pitch? Why should people, college football fans, watch Ivy League football?
I think it's like the competition the level that we're at is even within all, like every team, I would say. There isn't one team that's like superior to one another. There's so much opportunities for upsets and good games. I just think it's like any game could be exciting to watch, which I think is a real upside to Ivy League football.
It's and I can't. It seems like most of the games, even with the losses, there has been this pattern, like maybe a competitive first half. A couple things might happen with the defense or something else, and then Cornell kind of tries to get back in it at the end. I mean, it's got to be frustrating because you're just like close, but the games are also entertaining as hell. So I get that completely. A big thing. Talk to me about your offense. I felt like play calling was maybe a little more creative this year than last. Maybe that's a function of Jamison Wong not having the experience last year versus this season. What's it like playing with him? What's the offense going to look like next year? I think that's going to be that's going to be a great. That's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
So I think we completely switched up with what our offense was from last year to this year. I think a big part of that is the new running back coach that we got this year. My new position coach. He was an offensive line coach, or he just like assistant coach for the Colts. So he knows football. He played at Syracuse, played in the NFL. And he, I think, added a lot to our offense. And with JMO last year, he kind of just came in on certain packages. Wasn't the true starter. Kind of brought him in to run screens and quarterback runs and stuff. And this year we kind of defined him as the true starter, which, I mean, he's incredible. You've seen him play. He's great. And combining him with a lot of like what we do in the backfield, it's so confusing to defenses. There's so many motions and just like such movement from the offense that's confusing to defenses, which I think helped us a lot this year.
I remember texting you after first game or two and talking about the full house backfield in the red zone, and that's just it was a tickling thing for me because I mean that's like old Woody Hayes Ohio State football in the 70s. But the possibilities for misdirection out of that formation are really cool. And you saw that right off the bat.
And we had a lot of plays out of that formation too that we never even got to run. Like that's a confusing formation to line up in on the goal line for defenses. And I think that showed whenever we lined up.
It did a lot of moving parts.
JMO taking a QB sneak or something else. I mean, defenses didn't really know what was coming.
Okay. Carla?
So you're looking ahead a little bit towards what next season looks like, the offense. This is the time of year, right, where everybody starts like already looking ahead to like way too early predictions for the 2023 season. We're almost at that point, right? Once we get in the bowl season. What are your predictions for Cornell in 2023?
I mean, being biased as I am, I'd love to hope that we come out with, I think we played Lehigh in our opener. Could be wrong. I think so, but come out again and get a good out of conference win, get us going. I think Yale this year was the best team we played by far. I mean, they're the Ivy League champions.
Yep.
So playing them early in the season, if we can get that win, I think would be great. And we have a lot of juniors on our team. I don't know the specific number, but a lot of guys who play. So I think that's all of our linebackers pretty much. We're losing Jake Stebbins.
Yep. Part of the Cornell Pittsburgh Mafia.
Yeah.
I don't know how many I don't know how that many Pittsburgh guys ended up there. But it's been kind of cool. And the running back room especially.
Oh yeah. Gannon and Eddie. Hopefully Gannon was out with a concussion this past week, which sucks, but having him back, I mean, he has so much potential as a freshman. He's a good ball player. Then Eddie Tillman, our coach always says, I mean, he's smaller, so quick, but our coach always says, I mean, he falls forward, which is amazing.
Right.
So he has a lot of potential too. I mean, as you've seen in the games this year already. But he hasn't even lived up to his full potential yet either. Okay. Carla asked you about what you see for the team. What does a good season for Drew Powell look like in your mind? I don't know. I think I want more consistent. Well, one, stay healthy, obviously.
Yeah.
That's the base to anything. But more consistent carries. I mean, I like having the ball in my hands.
Sure.
That's what I do.
Any running back would say the same thing.
Yeah. But I mean, more of my role this year was pass blocking and blocking, and I'm okay with that too. Just providing for our team, you know.
Okay.
So
well, listen, we had a great time. I have watched most of your college career so far. And I know we're going to continue to follow weekly Big Red Bears reports and next year and keep checking in on what you are able to do. I will get you the bubble wrap so we can take care of you in the off season, and we don't have to deal with fingers and wrists and ankles and all of that stuff, and just let you run the football for a little bit.
Yeah, I still got a lump on my hand. Technically still broken, I think. And like no knuckle here.
You're gonna look up when we're done and you have a moment, look up Chuck Bednarik and his hands. He was a linebacker for the Eagles in the 50s, and try not to do that with your fingers. Just you'll know what I mean when you see it.
All right.
Let's take as we do a quick look back at last week. Carla, as we discussed, the idea of a separate bonkers segment is just kind of redundant. Right?
Yeah.
What did you see besides like everything?
I know. Should I just rattle off the list?
Yeah, go.
So we should have known that the weekend was going to be bonkers when the week started with a MAC game in a blizzard.
True.
Right? Like when that happens, like we should have just been like, spidey senses up, like, okay, this weekend's going to be ridiculous. And it was. If you haven't seen like the highlights from directional Michigan's in a snowstorm, right? Western and Central, like go look that up. It's just stupid fun football. Western ended up winning a game 12.
Did you see that one?
Yeah.
The dashing through the snow call was just perfect.
It was just perfect. It was. Okay, so that's how the week started. Okay, here we go. Quick rundown. Vanderbilt beats Florida, 2 straight SEC wins.
I didn't know about that until late Saturday night when you told me, and I'm like, huh?
Well, and I had friends at the game. We were going to go to the game, but it was too cold. And I had friends who were Vanderbilt fans at the game and said the atmosphere was just weird, because if you know Vandy football, like 75% of the stadium is the visiting team. Like that's just the way Vanderbilt football is. And so the stadium is blue and they lost. And so Vanderbilt fans were just kind of like, this is weird. This is weird.
We don't know what to do.
Well, and somebody joked, like, go storm the field and tear down the goalposts. Like, there's a lot of rich people who went to Vanderbilt who will pay for the goalposts. Like, do it.
Did they have enough fans in the stands to actually get the goalposts down?
That would have been a good question. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Good point.
Okay.
So we went from that to like South Carolina's Spencer Rattler playing the game of his life. Upsetting, and Cox upset UT and the Vols playoff hopes. Of course, there's a downside to that, and it sucks with Hendon Hooker. ACL done for the year. I mean, that just sucks. Such a weird thing that it's basically. I mean, he wasn't touched. It just sort of planted and happened, and it's like, that's not good. Yeah. So that just sucks. But I mean, talk about a kid just rising to the occasion and winning a game. We'll talk more about him later. Ohio State, Michigan, TCU all survived scares. If you didn't see the way that TCU like kicked that last field goal, like go watch that, because that is clock management to a T.
Perfect. It's perfect. You mentioned Ohio State and TCU and somebody else? What
Team Up North.
Oh, right. North. Them. Yes. Thank you. Sorry.
Yeah.
I was just making sure.
We'll talk more about both of them, all of them later. USC, UCLA lived up to expectations. Absolutely. That game was silly fun. Woo Pig. Arkansas beats the pants off of Ole Miss.
Yeah. And that makes the Egg Bowl kind of like, but and we're going to talk about it anyway.
We'll talk about that later too. Yeah. Two more quick things. Oklahoma put up 28 points in the first quarter, never scored again, still won Bedlam. Which to me is like the epitome of Bedlam, right?
Yeah. Pretty much.
And then, Georgia Tech beat North Carolina. Like that was the what? Like I literally, I think I texted you guys at like 11:30 Eastern on Saturday night, and went as I was like catching up on my scoreboard, I went, wait, Georgia Tech? What? I
was in bed already, so I got to see that first thing in the morning. Is like, okay, there's another one that I missed, and how did this happen?
Yeah, how did this happen? Again, top to bottom, the entire week of college football, bonkers, second straight week in a row. This is the season's the gift that just keeps on giving.
Drew, did you? I don't know if you were able to watch anything over the weekend. You mentioned you saw a MAC game during the week. Anything that you saw outside of your own personal involvement that was memorable for you?
Well, that snow game, crazy.
Yeah,
I mean, playing in those conditions I couldn't imagine. I mean,
did you think it get the same kind of snow that was going on sort of around you?
We had a similar snow on practice on Tuesday, I think.
Okay.
Last Tuesday.
Okay.
Which is fun. I mean, it's fun when it happens once and it's a practice. It starts to be every day. This
is when we remember that if I remember correctly, Drew was actually born in the state of Ohio. Was granted. He's spent a lot of time in Florida. So I was, and I haven't stopped teasing him basically about moving from Naples, Florida to one of the snow belts in Western New York.
Oh yeah.
But he seems to have done okay so far. My look back is, again, as I get more and more myopic towards the end of the regular season, it's obvious there was a lot of looking ahead in College Park, Maryland, and in that town in the state up north, because neither team was really sharp, and I guess I'm willing to write that off as just as anticipation for what's ahead. In Ohio State's case, I didn't see the defensive performance I would have felt good about going into this game. I learned a little bit about Ohio State's running back depth, which was really refreshing. So we'll see how we'll see how that shakes out. But if TreVeyon Henderson can go, if Mayan Williams can go, that's awesome. And if we got to lean on Dallin Hayden, who squeaked out 146 yards and 3 touchdowns against Maryland, that's going to be okay too. So I'm like, yeah, I guess as not tense as, no, that's not right. I'm tense. And we'll get to more of that. We are taping this on Monday, for a couple of reasons. One of which is OU and Bowling Green on Tuesday night, and then with the holiday, it's just kind of easier to get this to get this production done, and then we don't have to worry about with travel and everything. It does, however, mean that we are doing this prior to the release of this week's college playoff rankings. Probably not a big deal because you don't really see the top four changing. Georgia, Ohio State, that the team up north, and TCU, right, as they continue to find a way to win. My question for the two of you, and Drew, you can go first. Who's going to land when the rankings are released tomorrow night, on Tuesday night? Who's going to be in the 5th and 6th spots? And of course, those are going to be important because someone two or three is going to have a loss after this weekend.
Yep.
So
number 3.
Yeah, that'd be fine with me. I'd be okay with that. Who's gonna be in the 5th and 6th slots, Drew, when this rankings come out?
Yeah, it's hard. I'm thinking USC.
Okay.
I want to say Clemson.
It's their game against South Carolina got more interesting after South Carolina's beat Tennessee, for sure. Yeah. And that, I mean, that's, you wonder about them making a jump, especially if they're able, if they win their rivalry game this weekend. So
what are they now?
Clemson, Carla, do you know? I don't have the
I believe they are ninth.
Okay.
Right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
That would qualify as a good win. At this point, with South Carolina doing what they've done kind of in the second half of the season. So that could be a jump from them. Carla, you went to the trouble of a top 10.
I did.
Okay.
So
what you got?
Yeah, top 4 and change. I agree with Drew. I said this last week. I would have LSU, or I would have USC above LSU.
Mm-hmm.
And I still think that's the case.
Okay.
I think USC's win over UCLA should carry some weight. That was a heck of a win. So I have USC at 5. LSU at 6, which is where they are currently. So I would leave them at 6. Bama at 7.
Okay.
Clemson at 8, and I wrestled with that. And then I'm undecided. I guess I would have Oregon at 9, but I don't know how far I want Tennessee to drop, although they're not really going to be a factor now because of the injury to Hooker. I think Oregon has the potential to be more of a factor. So am I going to keep Tennessee in the top 10? Maybe. I didn't right now, but they could still stay in the top 10. And I put Penn State at 10.
Okay.
They're at 11 right now, so that's one spot up.
You made a I will let you explain.
Yes.
When we get to talking about the land grant bowl.
The best worst trophy in all of college football.
Yeah, I did not want to say that. Carla made a suggestion to me about the quality, the current at right now, as of this moment, quality of the teams in the Big Ten that we will discuss.
Yes.
When the time comes here in a few minutes. It's an interesting proposition, and I'm not sure if I can argue with it or not. I'm going to try. I'm going to try really hard, but we will see how that goes. As it turns out, guys, being an Ivy League student is difficult. Because even though Drew is at home for Thanksgiving, he still has homework he has to finish.
Yep.
I was not aware of this, that the Ivy League was that tough, but apparently it is.
Damn professors.
Yes, exactly. Giving kids homework on the Monday of Thanksgiving week. Jeez.
We're meanies like that.
Listen, so we're gonna let Drew, go. Right, and we're getting ready to throw this to AJ, who's going to take us through, because there's a lot of fun stuff coming up in Group of Five this weekend. And AJ is going to be able to discuss it all. But before we throw it to him, we will say goodnight to Drew. Thank you very much for joining us. Congratulations, especially on getting through that season. And everything that was thrown at you, and then just having a nice solid game to wrap things up, and hopefully serve as a springboard to get you into 2023.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys, and I appreciate you guys watching all season, staying up to date, and being some fans.
Yeah, it's fun.
We don't always have too many actually in the stands, so
I think Kelly and I we're going to figure out an Ithaca trip this next fall. And Lehigh is not that far. I can be there in like 3 hours, so that we'll see how it goes. Tell your brother and your sister and your mother and your father that I said happy Thanksgiving. And they should all listen to the show at least 4 or 5 times this week. We appreciate that support, and you have a happy Thanksgiving as well.
Yeah, you guys too. Happy Thanksgiving. Go Big Red. Go Bucks.
That's right. Yes. Ohio guy. To Ohio State, Michigan. Who?
Ohio State.
By how many?
I'm gonna go 10 by 10.
I think the line is 10.5. So that's
really?
Actually that may be a little bit more. I don't remember. I just
9.5,
typed this up.
I think maybe
9.5. Okay,
that's what I saw.
That's about right. I liked it. And either way, I like it. I'm good. I will be in Columbus on Saturday, and we'll get to that. Happy Thanksgiving, man. I appreciate it. Love you.
Too.
And we'll talk to you again later. AJ is going to tell us about the Group of 5 games this weekend. AJ, go.
Good evening, everyone. It is always spiritually after dark. It is this week's Group of 5 After Dark report, the final one of the 2022 season. I will be back for Bowlapalooza. I will be excited to watch New Year's 6 bowls. They have this thing called the playoff. I've never heard of it. No one has. But we're going to get started because we have a lot to talk about this week. We're going to start on Friday because we have AAC championship implications. Tulane at Cincinnati at noon on ABC. For the sake of what I'm about to say, UCF is going to beat USF. USF is 1-10 this year. UCF is not. I expect UCF to completely cruise. They are then locked in to the AAC championship game just because they've beaten Cincy and Tulane and Houston. Here's where this gets real fun. If Cincinnati wins, it's UCF Cincinnati. If Tulane wins, it's UCF Tulane. Sadly, though, I expect this to go just like UCF Tulane, and I'm sorry, Wave, but your defense is a deep liability. You can score points with the best of them. See last week where you almost hung 60 on SMU. That's hard apparently, but Cincinnati has a much sturdier defense. I don't expect a ton of points, entirely because Cincinnati's offense does not have the same punch that they had last year with Desmond Ridder. So I expect Cincinnati to have most of the points in this game and thus win and go to the AAC championship game. At 3 p.m. on FS1, Arizona State at Arizona. Now, earlier in the season, when Arizona State was still coached by Herm Edwards, a thing that happened in the year of our Lord 2022, I expected this game to be gross, to be stupid, to be just like the game of football played by people who have boxing gloves on their hands. And it's turned around now. Arizona beat UCLA, the random number generator that is Jaden DeLora. They're bad but fun. Arizona State is kind of spicy. They took USC for a little ride a couple times. They're not as bad but fun as Arizona. They're bad but, oh, hey, that's neat. And I think that makes for this game to be very dumb and stupid, which is what I prefer in my football. Also, this is going to be happening at the same time as England versus the USA in the World Cup. I guarantee this will have more points, and you should watch this instead. 10 p.m. FS1. Wyoming. I said it right. Wyoming at Fresno State. Wyoming almost beat Boise last week. That would have been incredibly fun. And I would have been very wrong on Wyoming twice this year. I mentioned earlier this year that I expected Air Force to just roll right over Wyoming, and then they didn't. They lost to Wyoming. They threw a bad pick at the end of the game. They didn't need to do that. They rushed a throw. They had 40 seconds left to potentially get down and score. And Boise escaped. And they escaped their way all the way into the Mountain West Championship game. They can bounce back and end the season on a good note against Fresno State. I don't necessarily believe it'll happen, but it's possible. Fresno is going to want to come out and prove something, mostly because they've got their spot in the Mountain West Championship game already locked in. So they don't necessarily need to play for like a spot or like they're fighting to get in. But this is their senior night. This is their last home game. This is senior night for Jake Haener. I will be very sad when Fresno State does not have Jake Haener. I saw what it looks like earlier this year. It's bad. This should be fun. He should be locked in. Wyoming is one of the better teams in the conference. So this should be a very, very fun game to close out your Friday night. Saturday, noon, ESPNU. The game in the Sun Belt. Coastal Carolina at James Madison. When I first looked at this game, I saw James Madison minus 13.5. And I'm like, wait a minute. Hold on. Why? Coastal Carolina's 9-1. They're a very good football team. How is JMU a almost 2-touchdown favorite for no real reason that I could think about immediately? And then I remembered that Grayson McCall is hurt and out for the next 3 to 6 weeks. He's the quarterback for Coastal Carolina and will not play in this game. They were supposed to play UVA last week, obviously incorrectly. They didn't. So we don't know what Coastal without Grayson McCall looks like in any sort of real way, especially this year. So, yeah, I can see now why JMU is favored by 2 touchdowns. Also, JMU, this is their bowl game. They don't get to go to a bowl game, even though they have more than 6 wins, because they have just come up from FCS, and there's a very dumb rule that says that if you come up to the big boy league, you don't get to play in the big boy games until you've been a big boy for more than a year. So, sorry, James Madison, this is your bowl game. It's senior day. I expect them to go completely ham. Go ahead, James Madison. Get yourself a nice win. 3 p.m., SEC Network, Louisville at Kentucky. Why am I talking about this game? Because Scott Satterfield can't stop winning. I'm pretty sure he's tried to stop winning. He does not want to be in Louisville. He just doesn't. And yet he keeps winning. As was mentioned on the Full Cast After Dark, a podcast you should listen to. It's almost like Scott Satterfield is just in his office at the end of the game. He's just staring at his hands going, what gave me these powers? Kentucky dragged UGA into the muck. They didn't get it done, but they really, really dragged Georgia down. So if you're looking for a game that's going to be really gross and really stupid, the AJ Fun Index on this game is below 50. So don't expect there to be like a fireworks factory on fire. Scott Satterfield wants to leave, but he's cursed to keep winning games for Louisville. So let's see how the powers that be make this one work. This is a totally normal sport, and I'm glad we're all here. 6 p.m. ESPN Plus, App State at Georgia Southern. These two teams hate each other, just straight up hate each other. And this goes back to FCS. But this is why the Sun Belt is the best G5 conference. Because they decided, hey, instead of trying to figure out like the Conference USA did, and they were like, okay, we're going to try and expand, and we're going to have Charlotte and Georgia State. And these are not knocks on those teams, but when they added those teams, they did not add them for the football content. They added them for the TV market, because they were trying to do the Big Ten nonsense where they're like, we have Rutgers, New York's team. No one's ever said this. They're the State University of New Jersey. Please stop. But when they built the conference, they built it around regionality. Having teams that know each other, fan bases that know each other, fan bases that will travel, that will go to games, that will do the things that they find to make good football. And let the actual game speak for itself. This is why the Sun Belt is the best G5. The American is losing their top 4 teams to the Big 12. And because of that, the AAC will take a deep step back, and there is the Sun Belt, who has James Madison and Marshall and App State and Georgia Southern and ULM and ULL, and they're able to grow the conference in a very real way. And these games are what comes out of it. They're never putting their games on Tuesday night. No shots at Maction, no shots at Conference USA, but they're never ever putting their games on Tuesday night because they actually want people in the stands on Saturdays because that's what the game means to them. I expect smash mouth football, and it should be incredibly amazing. Just for the sake of fun here, I'm going to take a quick swing through the rest of the games because I'm just going to rapid fire a couple things. Bowling Green, Ohio, we have a MAC East championship game. Go Bobcats. Go get the job done. Egg Bowl, this looked real fun, and then it didn't. Everybody remembered that Mike Leach coaches the air raid, and you can stop that pretty easily. So there you go. Mississippi State, Ole Miss, 2 crabs in a bucket. Enjoy your Thanksgiving night. We're going to keep going into Saturday, NC State and North Carolina. That is a very fun, sneaky, hateful rivalry because they're so close to one another. Those two schools are basically 20 minutes apart. Those fan bases are in each other's offices, in each other's places of business, in each other's places of worship and homes. That is a stupid fun rivalry. NC State has just fallen off a cliff. North Carolina not going to the playoff. Give me the heels on that one. Nebraska at Iowa. This season can end anytime it would like to for Iowa, except it won't, because I need to break down the Big Ten West because we have to do this. We have to think about this and really put it into our minds. Here's how this works. If Iowa wins, Iowa goes to the Big Ten championship game. I'm sorry, everybody. We have to do this. And either Michigan or Ohio State is going to pulverize that team. You will not have to watch the championship game. If Iowa loses and Purdue wins, Purdue goes to the Big Ten championship game. This just got a little bit more fun. If Iowa loses and Purdue loses and Illinois wins, Illinois goes to the Big Ten championship game. And if Iowa loses and Purdue loses and Illinois loses, Kirk Ferentz is inevitable and Iowa wins anyways. So if you're scoreboard watching on Saturday trying to figure out what team is going to be sent to the slaughter in the Big Ten championship game, there's your rooting interests. Boo Iowa, boo Purdue, go Illinois. I just want to see it. 7:30 p.m. on ABC, Florida at Florida State. Noles ranked 19th, 8-3. They are the clear best team in Florida. What a sentence. I would not have said that sentence at the beginning of this year, but yet here we are. I'm happy for the Noles. I'm happy for Mike Norvell. This game is always stupid, but Florida, you just lost to Vandy, so maybe you take a step back and reflect on that. And then finally, just taking one quick cruise through Saturday, Rice possibly bowl eligible. They have a North Texas team that is very beatable. Go Rice, go bowling. And finally, we could just cruise to LSU, Texas A&M. Jimbo's going to go 4-8. You got all them 5 stars. You went 4-8. They're going to be terrifying next year. Let's all laugh while we can. We have fun here, don't we? Anyways, that's this week's Group of 5 After Dark report. I've had a great season. I hope you enjoy these. If you do, give it a 5-star review. If not, in the words of Crappy, mind your damn business. Bye. Have fun. Happy Thanksgiving.
AJ, thank you. I mean, there's so much going on. Mac at the beginning of the week. I mean, this is one of the most fun weekends of college football, and it's not just because of the rivalries, but good games, important games, and a lot of them from Tuesday through Saturday night.
It's like a mini bowl season.
You can gorge yourself on Thanksgiving dinner, but you can also gorge yourself on college football, which is sort of what I have in mind. It's what I'm hoping for anyway. We will begin for what I will admit is the primary reason we are taping this early this week. On Tuesday, 7 p.m. on ESPNU, Bowling Green at Ohio University. OU is favored by 6.5. The AJ Fun Index is 55. Of course, Bowling Green made a liar out of me at the very end of last weekend's program. But we have a head-to-head chance to make this right. The winner of this game is the outright MAC East champion. And we'll play probably Toledo in the MAC title game in a couple weeks. Carla, what do you see with this one?
Well, I don't really have a ton of thoughts on this game other than the fact that I love midweek action and I like Ohio. So this is an easy, go Bobcats for me.
Okay.
Having enough connections to OU, various people. And actually we've talked about this with the back. Can you believe it was a decade ago that I covered the NCAA tournament?
Wow.
In Nashville. Yeah, it was 2012. I know. But in 2012, Ohio was sent to Nashville and they picked up a win and made it to the second round. I don't even remember who they beat.
Michigan?
But did they? Is that who they beat? I don't remember.
There was a win against the team up north in the NCAA tournament, and that might have been it. I don't
remember off the top of my head. I do remember that Ohio won because I remember that Ohio won and Cincinnati won, and so we got both sets of fans for the entire weekend.
Nice.
And they were sitting behind Media Row, and the OU fans were just fun as heck.
Okay.
They were really great to hang out with, and it was a lot of fun. So yes,
cool.
Go Bobcats.
Cool, Bobcats. The OU kind of out of nowhere has won 6 straight games, except it's not really out of nowhere because the quarterback play of Curtis Work, I think I said this week ago, it's got to be the MAC Offensive Player of the Year. One issue, Curtis Work got hurt in the end of the first half of the game at Ball State. In that game, OU's offense was able to keep rolling behind a running back, C. Bangura, who picked up a lot of slack, a couple touchdowns and well over 100 yards rushing. OU has enough to win on Tuesday without Curtis Work. And if Curtis Work is back and able to play meaningful minutes, I don't think it's going to be close. So Bobcats punch their ticket to the title game with the win over the Falcons on Tuesday evening. There's of course more action on Wednesday. We're not going to get into it. But you can literally the whole weekend. Just watch the whole weekend. And on Thursday, I mean, yeah, there's NFL football on, and that's fine. That you can, but at 7 p.m, turn on ESPN and watch the Egg Bowl. It doesn't necessarily mean anything, but it's the Egg Bowl. This is, of course, a Mississippi State at Ole Miss. Ole Miss is favored by 2. The AJ Fun Index is 59 points. Carla, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, you took the words out of my mouth. It's Ole Miss has lost 3 of their last 4, and until a get-right game against East Tennessee last week, Mississippi State also lost 3 of their last 4, right? Dogs are not the prolific offense that we would typically think of here, particularly with a Leach as coach, right? They put up 100 fewer yards per game than Ole Miss does, but they score points. They're an efficient offense, which has been Ole Miss's problem all year. They put up a boatload of points or a boatload of yards and don't score.
Yes.
So to me, this game could get pretty ugly. It's going to be silly as heck. It doesn't mean much of anything nationally, but Leach and Kiffin are a much better way to end your turkey day than the NFL.
Hell yes.
Right?
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, like, yes, there's going to be points. It's going to be way better than whatever the NFL game is. Sure, Ole Miss at home. Why not?
Okay. I feel like Ole Miss has fallen further, I think.
I would agree.
Than Mississippi State has, just in terms of expectations.
Yep.
Ole Miss was in the West title hunt for until a couple weeks ago.
Remember when we thought that this game could potentially be for the West to go to the title game?
Yeah. And then you wonder because there has been discussion about Lane Kiffin moving on someplace, perhaps to a school in the state of Alabama. Is that a distraction? Do the kids at Ole Miss hear that talk? You wonder. I think this all adds up to more cowbell. Is what I think it adds up to. I think Mississippi State wins the Egg Bowl on the road on Thursday night, as we all eat our third piece of pie, because it's right there, and it's
no. Another bowl of mashed potatoes. I'm going to have to fight my 10-year-old nephew now for mashed potatoes because he has picked up his Aunt Carla's affinity for them. And Ellie also likes mashed potatoes now too. So, but she's small. She doesn't eat much. So that's good. But my 10-year-old nephew is starting to put food down.
That's only going to get worse.
It is.
You guys are going to need more mashed potatoes.
We're going to need more mashed potatoes.
I'm going to stick with the pie because I want some mashed potatoes left over for the leftover meals. But
yes.
Yeah, if I get a chance for a second piece of pie, I think that's where I'm headed on Thursday night when the Egg Bowl gets started. Friday. Did someone say Friday football? Yes, we did. In fact, at 3:30 on ABC. Is there a name for this for the North Carolina UNC NC
I'm
State
not aware
thing?
of one, but there probably is.
I'm not either. This is the Wolfpack visiting Chapel Hill. The Heels are favored by 6.5 points. The AJ Fun Index is a rather restrained 56. Again, both of these teams are coming into this game that's sort of like losses recently.
Yeah.
What do you think?
And I think NC State's in a little bit worse shape here, right? So we talked about North Carolina already losing to Georgia Tech last weekend, and this is just a reminder: Georgia Tech doesn't run the option anymore. They haven't for several years, so this was not like an option causing them fits sort of thing, right? And in fact, Georgia Tech split quarterback duties between the two healthy quarterbacks they had on the roster. QB1 and QB2 were both out with injuries, so they split time between QB3 and QB4. Were down 17 points and still won that football game with an interim coach. Yeah, it's a big time head scratcher as to what the heck was Carolina looking ahead trap game? Right. The AP story just says that the Tar Heels looked, quote, flat. So maybe they're the team this year that got caught up with the trap game. NC State, on the other hand, also still trying to figure out its quarterback situation. Devin Leary's out for the year. They played QBs 3 and 4 also in a loss against Louisville. They've lost 2 straight, but here you go. You got another team playing QBs 3 and 4 against.
Okay. Right.
I think Carolina is the pick here. I think they're the more complete team at the moment. Last weekend seems like it was an anomaly. NC State's been struggling at the quarterback position for several weeks now. So I would say the Heels are the pick at home, but you're not going to have the atmosphere. It's a 3:30 afternoon kick on a Friday, so you're not going to have like that night mystical kind of thing going on. This game could be really intriguing, but I'll take the Heels at home.
Okay. I see a lot of food comers in the audience still at 3:30 on Friday.
Yeah.
People just kind of like, yay. Can I have some more pie, please? Both teams coming off losses. UNC's loss to Tech, I think, is the dumber of the two.
Yes.
I mean, you could easily say the same thing that I'm about to say about last weekend's game, and I would have been wrong had I said it then. But a team that's struggling to find healthy quarterbacks, may still be able to score on North Carolina, but North Carolina should be able to score more because that is what they do.
Right.
So I'm again hedging that, this should have been the case a week ago, and now we're talking about an actual rivalry game where weird stuff can happen. But I'm still the Tar Heels offense will get back on track this weekend, and North Carolina wins at home. Speaking of offense, 4 p.m. on the Big Ten Network, Nebraska at Iowa. Iowa is favored, get this, by 10.5 points. And the AJ Fun Index is 38. Carla, Iowa wins this game. They are the Big Ten West champions. So
right.
this game, there's reason to watch.
Yes.
Woody, how do you think this is going to go?
Yeah, Iowa's got something to play for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
They win. They're in the Big Ten title game.
Mm-hmm.
Huskers have lost 5 straight, and last weekend was a heartbreaker. To lose to Wisconsin by a point. Come on.
And that's been their MO for the last several years.
Yeah.
Scott Frost was there, and he just could not get over the hump in close games.
Yeah. So, and I guess the knock against the Huskers in this is their defense is almost non-existent.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you look at this statistically, it's just not there. So Iowa's going to be able to score, and so they're not going to have to score much. Now, Iowa hasn't scored much all year. We joked that Iowa finally put up 24 points in a game. I think this is an ugly, low-scoring game, but Hawks are playing at home. Mm-hmm. And they have something to play for here. I think the Hawkeyes win this game and punch their ticket to Indianapolis.
Okay. The question I had for this when I read the line was, if I was going to win by 10.5 points, doesn't that mean they have to score?
Yeah, at least 10.5
points. I'm dubious about that. Although maybe against Nebraska, that's possibility. They do have something to play for. They are playing at Kinnick. I expect this will be an Iowa win. I don't think I would. I think I would take the under.
Yes.
With the AJ Fun Index of 38 points, but yeah, I was gonna to win this game and champions of the West. Saturday, Big Nude in Columbus. It is the game. The team up north with the ugly helmets and the wackadoodle coach. It will be in Columbus, as will I, to play at Ohio State. Ohio State is favored by 7.5 points. I was wrong about the number when we were talking about that before. The AJ Fun Index is 57. I would point out the last time these teams played in a similar situation, both undefeated, both top 5. That was a 2006 game, and that was low 40s to high 30s. So these are not the same offenses, but you look at 57 AJ Fun Index, it's like, okay, that's interesting. Carla,
yeah. So
before I let my twitchy self get involved in predicting this game, what do you think?
So both these teams are banged up a lot. Blake Corum hurt last week. Appeared to be a fairly substantial knee injury. All we got out of Monday press conferences was that he would, quote, will be back, but at what capacity? We don't know. And Michigan runs the football.
Yeah.
Right. And we saw that against Illinois. Once Corum went out, that game was tight. And needed, I'll say it, a questionable pass interference call to get into field goal range.
Sure.
Particularly when they hadn't called that kind of stuff all game. Was it the right call? Probably. But if you're not calling it in the rest of the game and suddenly they get the call, to get into field goal range to eke out that win, right? And this is an Illinois team that, we joked that Illinois getting right against Michigan was not a great opportunity here, but to be honest, they lost the game, but they got right.
Yeah, they did.
And probably should have won that game. So
unburted would be the term
okay
we were looking for.
Unburting. Got it.
Yeah.
So to me, the Michigan offense relies on what the status of quorum is.
Mhm.
As you mentioned, in your look back, yes, the Ohio State running back core is banged up.
Mhm.
Trey Henderson, we saw on the sideline with a boot on his foot.
Mhm.
Not a good sign. But man, we met ourselves a new running back on Saturday,
Mhm.
right? And he looked real good. And so when you've got two banged up teams, which team do I trust right now? Whose offense do I trust more?
Mhm.
It's Ohio State's.
Mhm. Okay.
It's Ohio State's. Even with being as banged up as they were, facing a prolific offense,
Mhm.
because Maryland's offense is prolific,
Yeah.
thanks to Talia, right? Facing that prolific offense, they persevered. They got, they racked up yards. They scored points. Yes, it was a closer game than anybody would have expected, but they pulled out a way to win that game. When you put that Ohio State offense up against a Michigan offense that's not going to be able to run the football at its full capacity, because even if Quorum's playing, he's not going to be at 100%.
Right.
I think the game's going to be tight. But Ohio State wins this game at home. I think they got and they've got the revenge factor here too, right? So like there's double motivation here. I think Ohio State wins this game.
Okay. I have two things, and they're along the lines of what you brought up. I would be happier going into this weekend with a better performance last weekend. I recognize what Maryland is able to do, and the other team struggled with Maryland at home, no less, earlier in the season. But at Ohio State's depth, the ridiculous injuries all year. Jackson Smith-Njigba, Trey Henderson really hasn't been. Jackson Smith-Njigba has not played any meaningful minutes pretty much at all season. Trey Henderson in and out, but really not at full strength. Mayan Williams has been phenomenal. His running style, perhaps it takes a greater physical toll because he does not shy away from contact. But then you see, even with both of those guys out, and Ohio State's running game, actually second half against Maryland looked better than it has in weeks.
Yeah.
So depth at receiver, depth at tailback. I like Ohio State's depth in those positions more. JJ McCarthy did not appear to be as comfortable last weekend when he's got to be the guy. There, and the team up north is working with backup running backs, and there was more of a drop off there than there has been for Ohio State. If a team is one dimensional, as was the case when Ohio State played at Northwestern and had to deal with that wind and it could only run the football, the defense has a big advantage when they know what's coming. So there's an X's and O reason to pick Ohio State. The other reason to pick Ohio State, last season, Ohio State was not prepared for what happened in Ann Arbor, and that was again we've talked about this. It was they got smacked in the mouth, to use an overused cliche, and they did not respond well. This year's Michigan team wants to do the same thing. And I think Ohio State will be ready for it this time. This game. The players and coaches will all lie. If you asked any of them, they will say no. We have not been preparing for this game all season, folks. They've been preparing for this game all season. And preseason and off season, like for the last 360-ish days. I haven't done the math to count exactly. They've been getting ready for this game. And in Columbus, on Saturday at noon, Ohio State will kick off and be ready to get its revenge. What happened last year, and hopefully start a new winning streak against the team up north. Next up, at 3:30, the SEC farewell tour of CBS is almost over.
No. We're missing a game.
We're missing a game. What am I doing? What?
South Carolina at Clemson is at noon Eastern on Saturday. On
I
ABC.
put that in the wrong place. Oh man. One moment, please. I didn't realize I was looking at that. In a whole different spot on the schedule.
Yeah, you had the bottom, and I was going through, and I was like, "Oh, yeah, that needs to be moved up."
Well, no, I appreciate that. Because, okay, where are we? There we are. South Carolina at Clemson. I'm waiting for the thing to load here. Clemson is favored by 14.5. The over-under is 50.5. Drew's point, I don't know that Clemson's could jump up that high, but as we discussed, with a win here, suddenly a win over South Carolina could be pretty impressive. So, is that a possibility? And what happens to Clemson in terms of the playoff if they're able to pull off a win here?
Yeah, it's an interesting proposition.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they're going to have enough to get in.
Mm-hmm.
But could they end up in the top 6? Possibly.
Could be. Okay.
Possibly. Depending on how things shake out. And we mentioned at the top of the show, Spencer Rattler played the game of his life last week against Tennessee. He's going to need another one to beat Clemson. But it's not impossible. It's not impossible because it's a rivalry game and it's at noon. And we've talked about this with Clemson. Clemson and noon games, doesn't work. It's just not the atmosphere. Yes, I know it's a rivalry game, but the atmosphere is just not there. It's not there for noon kicks. It's there
not,
at night.
It's not like Death Valley. It's kind of like a nursing home valley.
Yeah,
is that a good analogy? Okay.
It's just a dud. It just doesn't have that same jump as Death Valley at night. So, Clemson's looked fine the last couple of weeks. But they had 3 second-half turnovers last week that Miami just couldn't capitalize on.
Hey. Okay.
Right? You're playing any other team, and you're playing a South Carolina team that's hot, that wants to win a rivalry game. Because, I don't know, I just felt like being stupid. I'm going to say Carolina wins this game just for funsies, just to totally knock Clemson out of this, because I don't know, it just feels like South Carolina's trending the right direction. They're getting some mojo put together here, and they're really kind of playing well at the end of the season. This game's going to be really, really intriguing. Sure, Gamecocks. Why not?
Okay. That's an interesting pick, and I have spent way too much time thinking about Clemson and the ACC this year. And I need to reclaim my brain from part of that, but I think with good reason, and particularly just because of DJ, and I can't figure out, no one can figure out who he is and how good he is, and to say that in week 13 is an odd thing. So I'm doing this completely by impulse here, and I think you're right. I talked with friends, a high school buddy of mine who went to North Carolina and stayed in Columbia, and who he and his wife went to the game Saturday night, and they are really stoked about what's going on with South Carolina, and I don't know. Yes, they keep that momentum going, and they close out the season with a win in Clemson, and cap what is a great finish to the Gamecocks season. Now I believe we are in the 3:30 window. we return you to the CBS SEC farewell tour, which this game would probably be it. This is, of course, the Iron Bowl, Auburn at Alabama. Bama is favored by 21.5 points. The AJ Fun Index is a not so fun 49. I'm tempted to say who cares, but I'll let you go first, Carla. Why should we care about this game?
Like, normally I'm not like a huge like must see Iron Bowl kind of fan, right? Like, I mean, there's some years where I'm like, yeah, it's going to be a good game and I'm going to want to pay attention to it, but it's not like must see viewing for me. But for me this year, this feels like a popcorn game. Like, you have a not normal Alabama team playing a Cadillac Williams coached Auburn. Auburn needs a win for a bowl game.
Okay.
So you have kind of an intriguing setup here. Like, normally I'd be like, no, this is a Bama win all the way. But Auburn's looked good under Williams the last couple of weeks. It feels like they've gotten a little bit of jump back behind them again. They're playing for them. In a rivalry game. Now, if this game, was at Auburn at Jordan Hare, I would feel intrigued by saying, Auburn, pay attention to this game. You might be able to pull this off.
I would feel really good about heading in that direction. Yes.
Yeah. But in the loose, like, I mean, this feels like an Auburn, or it feels like a Bama win here, especially because Bama's real good against the run, and that's been Auburn's mojo. Right. So Bama's defense, but like, this feels like this game is going to be way tighter than it should be. Entertaining as heck. Give me some popcorn and I'm going to settle in and watch this game, which is not something I normally say for the Iron Bowl. So
okay.
Yeah, Bama, but it's going to be fun.
Okay. I look at this and I'm like, yeah, why, who cares? Why? I know people in the state of Alabama do. But it is an interesting proposition. Does a team of Alabama's talent get up enough because they can keep Auburn from going to a bowl game? I mean, is that motivation for the program that has been the best in the country for the last decade? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I mean, I'm not sure that this team has paid attention to Nick Saban to the degree that, certainly not to the degree that Nick Saban would like. Right. And we've talked a little bit about some of the, how Alabama is always so well coached, and yet this season you see things that you never see out of that program. Just little mental things that never seem to happen. I would pick Auburn if this game was at Auburn, and I would do so gleefully and without hesitation. I agree. I mean, I'm not sure the answer to any of the questions I just asked about Alabama is yes. I'm not sure that they get up for this game. It may not matter. It may be that just Alabama is better. And the line reflects that for sure. So I'm going to pick Alabama. But do pay attention to this. And this is a situation where, like, if Auburn is close late, you want to watch, because you don't know at that point if what is ostensibly the better team is just going to pack it up and bail. So we'll see. Alabama's a pick, but yeah, popcorn game. Get ready, because that could be more interesting than it seems on its face. Also at 3:30 on ABC, the Civil War between the Ducks and the Beavers, which just the silliest thing ever.
Agreed.
Oregon at Oregon State. Oregon, your Ducks are favored by 3 points. The over/under is a 56.5. I assume both of these teams will be ranked. Oregon will be for sure. In currently the most recent poll that we have, the most recent numbers we have, Oregon State is ranked 23. So it's kind of unusual for this game to both teams come in with positions in the top 25.
Yeah.
What do you see here?
And this game has consequences for Oregon, right?
Yeah, it does.
Bo Nix isn't at 100%. Although we say that, and he brought the team, pull off a huge win at home against Utah last week. But a win here against their in-state rivals puts Oregon back in the Pac-12 title games. They control their own destiny here. So a win here puts them in the title game. The Beavs, meanwhile, they might actually be better than their record indicates. 2 of their 3 losses on the season were to Washington and USC, and they were 3-point games. They were in those games. The outlier there was a blowout loss to Utah, a good loss with a good Utah team, right? The game's in Corvallis, and rivalry games like this are sneaky because you have a team, the road team is trying to get to a title game. You have an underdog, good home team that could play spoiler for something. And Nix isn't at 100%.
Yeah.
This game's tight. I am tempted to take the Beavs here. I am tempted, but I think the smart pick is still Oregon. But this game, keep this game on the flip.
Okay.
With the Iron Bowl, because this game, and scoreboard watch this game, because I think this game could really go either way. I think the Ducks are the pick, but I don't feel good about it.
Okay. You said Oregon's a smart pick, so naturally, the not smart pick is the one that I'm going to gravitate to. I
mean that way too, though. Like it's
this is this situation. It's similar to Alabama Auburn, but it's not, right? In that, you've got a team. Is it enough to spoil your opponent's season? So, if Alabama, is it enough motivation for Alabama to keep Auburn out of a bowl game? Maybe, but for a team whose expectations are so high, maybe not. In this instance, I think it is absolutely enough for the Beavers to want to screw up Oregon's postseason possibilities and win their rivalry game. And the fact that they're at home in the football mecca that is Corvallis, Oregon. I'm going with the Beavers here. I think that is going to be that's going to be the way this goes. Whether or not that's the smart pick, we will see. I've never let that stop me before. Reference this earlier. We were texting on Sunday, I think.
Yeah.
Carla posed this statement that at this moment, all things considered, Penn State is the best team. Did you say in the Big Ten East or in the Big? Well, that's dumb. Never mind. The Penn State is the best team in the Big Ten right now. Carla, if I could, before we get into this game, if I could ask you to please explain.
Sure. So you look at recent results, right? What have you done for me lately? And Ohio State and Michigan both banged up big time. Now, again, Ohio State's been able to find some depth at key positions, and they've been able to hang in there. But you look head to head in consecutive weeks, Penn State shuts out Maryland 30-0.
And Ohio State did not.
And Ohio State did not. Right?
Right.
And Penn State, healthy quarterback, 2 healthy running backs. Secondary's been playing really, really well. Defensive line's been pressuring quarterbacks. It gave Talia fits, which Ohio State was never fully able to do. They had moments where they were able to pressure Talia really well, but not with the consistency that the Penn State defense did.
Right.
At this point in the season, Penn State is the healthiest team in the Big Ten, and they're playing like it. They're putting up points. The defense is swarming. I think if I would love to see a Penn State Ohio State rematch right now.
Well, how about I would rather see a Penn State Michigan rematch right now, but I
that too.
I said I was going to try to argue about this, and I'm not sure that I can. I mean, the positions that the teams are in, obviously, it speaks for itself. But your argument that health, what each team has done, each of the three teams has done in the last couple weeks, I'm not sure that I have a leg to stand on if I'm trying to debate this with you.
And what gets me excited,
yeah,
is the fact that Clifford's been there for 17 years. He's fine. He's riding off into the sunset with this team.
Does he have a PhD by now, or like two or three of them? Yeah,
he's probably teaching at this point, right? He's faculty.
Tenured. He's tenured. He's
tenured
like...
at Penn State. Yeah. But the fact that Penn State's been winning big, Drew Aller's been getting reps.
That's a good point.
You've got a freshman quarterback and two sophomore running backs next season that are tearing up offensively. I can't wait for 2023.
The running backs essentially been playing all season, which is, and they are the reason that in an improved offensive line, they are the reason that Penn State's offense has been that good, because Clifford finally in all 17 years of his time in State College, he finally has a running game.
Yep.
I am on the record as being unhappy about this because I understand what that means. Fortunately, next year's game will be in Columbus. Yes, next year's game will be in Columbus. But yeah, that's tough to argue. And certainly it bodes well for the land grant, the prospects of Penn State getting his hands on the land grant trophy. At 3:30.
Not that you necessarily want that trophy, but whatever.
No, I mean, it's a trophy. Sure, why not?
If you don't know what the land grant trophy looks like, if for somehow have never seen a picture of it, please Google it and look at it.
Okay, look at it. Look at it.
It looks like something you picked up at a yard sale, or random things you picked up at a yard sale. And
the majesty of the land grant trophy.
It's the best, worst trophy in all of college football. I love it so much.
I can't argue about that either. At 4 p.m. on FS1, the land grant trophy will be up for grabs as the Michigan State Spartans visit the Penn State Nittany Lions. Penn State is favored. I did have the wrong mouse. Penn State is favored by 18 points, which feels right to me. The AJ Fun Index is a 52.5. Also feels pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't know what's up with Michigan State. They appear to be not good, but then a couple times they've popped off and hello, this is sort of what we expected from Sparty. Which Sparty do we see on Saturday, or does it matter?
I think it would matter if this game was in East Lansing. I would be nervous about this game if it was at Sparty. Okay. Just because, last game of the year, Sparty needs a win to get bowl eligible. After they screwed around and lost in double overtime to Indiana last week. So they have something to play for here. But the fact that this game is in Happy Valley on Sean Clifford's senior day, even though it's a 4 Eastern kick, which is a terrible time, by the way. Thanks, Fox. There's so many wrong things about playing this game at 4 o'clock.
I know.
This needs to be a 7 o'clock game, but whatever. And Penn State's healthy right now, and Sparty is not good against the run. They're not. They haven't been able to stop the run. So the key to a Penn State win here is they just need to rely on that ground game. Don't let that ground game go. Rely on that ground game. Be methodical about it. And this is a Penn State win. And Sean Clifford will get to be, ride off into the sunset on a win. I don't love the line. I know you said it feels right. Sparty always plays up for this game. I think it'll be a little closer than that. 13 maybe. It feels like a 2-score win, but I don't think 8. I think 18 is a little silly. I think, but this is a Penn State win.
I think. I think what should happen with Professor Clifford is that he comes out in flip flops and an aloha shirt and just takes snaps and hands it off to the running backs.
Yeah.
Over and over and over. So Professor Clifford can enjoy his senior day, Crappy says with air quotes. And because the guy's been, he's 35 years old. He's been there for a while. I see this as again, what is perhaps the best team in the Big Ten right now rolling an opponent that it should roll, because I think that the difference, and maybe not difference in talent, but the difference in where these programs are at this moment in time is stark enough that this should not be a close game. And in addition to dashing Michigan State's bull hopes, there's the Land Grant Trophy. Just grab it. It's right there.
There it is.
Up for grabs. Penn State wins this one pretty easily. At 8 p.m. I don't know if this one has a rivalry name either, but it's cool to talk about this because this game is actually meaningful. Like, for the first time since I've been paying attention to college football in Kansas, I guess. This is Kansas at Kansas State. This is at 8 p.m. Saturday on Fox. Kansas State is favored by 12. The over-under is the AJ Fun Index is a respectable 62.5 points. Can Kansas finish a dream regular season with a win at K-State?
I wish to an
Usually,
extent. Although
Co's like, no.
Although I don't. I want Powercats need to win this game to go to the Big 12 title game. So
true.
And
then there's the all purple thing and
the all purple thing, right?
Gotcha,
So Powercats need to win this game. How this is the Sunflower Showdown.
The Sunflower. Okay, that's
yes.
I should have been able to guess that. Yes.
Yeah, Sunflower Showdown. Powercats win. They go to the Big 12 title game. Kansas lost momentum.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they did after they lost their quarterback. And Jason Bean's done an admirable job, but they just haven't gotten the wins behind him. They're playing okay. They just haven't won. They've lost 4 of their last 5, right? And they got thumped last weekend by Texas. I mean, like not good. I hope Rock Chalk keeps this interesting. That's what I hope. But you have a night game in Little Manhattan with a title game berth on the line.
Mm-hmm.
All purple Big 12 title game. Let's go. Powercats.
I believe I said during a show earlier in the year that I was not going to pick against K-State until I might not even said I'm just not going to do it. I think they lost almost immediately when I said that, because that's how things go for me when I try to sound smart on a college football program. You got to pick Kansas State here. You do, but I am absolutely rooting for a storybook finish with the Jayhawks, who are, and as we've covered before, bowl eligible Kansas Jayhawks, being able to wrap up an amazing season and beating their rivals on the road. Is it likely? No, but possible? Sure. This next up at 7:30 on ABC. It's cool that this old rivalry means something this time. And could mean something for both programs. This is, of course, your Notre Dame Fighting Irish visiting Southern California, the USC Trojans, the LA Coliseum, and the Song Girls and the dude on the horse and all of that stuff. USC is favored by 5.5 points, which is not something you would have said a month ago. But Notre Dame has kind of come back and resurrected its season, which certainly doesn't hurt my Buckeyes and they're the initial win of the season. USC favored by 5.5, over under 63. Um, Carla, I mean, you've got to agree with me on this. That it's cool that this old rivalry is meaningful this year, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I love the fact that it's in the Coliseum. Like it's just
Mhm.
like it feels like old school rivalry game. Both these teams ranked. You know, USC coming off of a huge win. Notre Dame, new head coach, rebounding well after start to the year.
To say the least.
You know, and so it's been really nice to see both these like programs trending in the right direction here. Part of me wonders,
Mhm.
and this is like a super hypothetical, but because I think the Trojans are the pick here. I think the game's gonna be tight, because USC has playoff hopes at this point, because you have to believe that they're going to be sitting at either 5 or 6 when the rankings come out, and after the game happens, one of those two teams is dropping out, and so who's sitting at 5 to be able to slide in there? And so USC has a lot to play for here.
Yeah.
But my question is, and this just occurred to me, if Notre Dame wins this game, do they go New Year's 6? Is that a big enough win to catapult them up into New Year's 6?
I think, and this is always a thing that drives me crazy about Notre Dame, because it's Notre Dame. I think that's a possibility. And again, this is a concept we've discussed ad nauseum in the show over the years. There are programs that get a second look because of the programs that they are, and because specifically, boys and girls, because the TV numbers they bring.
Yep.
Ohio State, I will stipulate, Ohio State has absolutely been a beneficiary of that line of thinking before.
So has Penn State.
Yeah, absolutely. Notre Dame is the only damn school in the country that has its own TV network, or that has its own contract with a major TV network. So there is it is not negotiable to question the TV numbers that they draw. I think that this is a situation where I don't think it's automatic, but they would get a much closer look than most programs in the country if they're able to win this game. At jump it up to a New Year's 6 bowl.
Yeah, I still think USC is the pick here, but this game, entertaining as heck. It might have the same level of intrigue as SC UCLA did last weekend. I don't think it's gonna be as explosive, but I think it's gonna have that same level of competition. That's 2 huge asks for USC in back-to-back weeks, and you have to believe that even if they're sitting at 6, if they win this game, would they get a look at 4, even if they're sitting at 6?
I have not. I have no idea who LSU is playing this weekend. I think a win. I mean, unless LSU is like beating Alabama for a second time this weekend, I think a win over Notre Dame for SC would be enough for them. You assume TCU wins. One spot is open because of my game.
Yep.
I would put SC in that 4th spot right now over LSU. But that assumes that I'm picking USC to win, which, spoiler alert, I am. However, just to couch the pick, I think it's a smart pick, and that's it is a huge rivalry, but it's tough ask to for any time you got to travel through 3 time zones and go play a football game at what would be like a 10:00 start if they were playing in South Bend on the West Coast time. I want, this is a rare thing for me to say, I'm absolutely cheering for Marcus Freeman and for him to pull off a win in this game. Dude's a Buckeye. I know we've had some rough times with Marcus before the start of the season. Understandable, no big deal. And it would be great for him, for the program. And we all kind of said, yeah, we're rooting for Marcus Freeman. I think I even grudgingly admitted that after the season opener. I think SC is the pick. But again, this is a funny one. All of these rivalry games, you don't know, and if Notre Dame comes in the right frame of mind, they are strong up the middle, which is still the weak point for SC, even on offense. The defense is strong overall. I'm not sure about SC's defense, as we saw when they played UCLA last weekend.
Right. Perhaps
not a strength. Although that's a weakness on weakness matchup, because Notre Dame isn't scoring a ton of points either. I don't know. It's a lot of interesting kind of little storylines like that. Southern Cal is the pick. But again, I'm watching this one, and we'll see how that goes.
And if SC wins, I would totally put them at 4, regardless of where they are, because LSU has Texas A&M this weekend.
Yeah, that's absolutely. That's not going to be enough in my mind to vault LSU into that 4th spot over a victorious Trojans program. We have one more game. The selling point here is just pure fun. This is like taking a bowl of sugar and just shoveling it into your mouth. This is not substantial. This is nothing but fun. This is the Apple Bowl.
The Apple Cup, actually.
Is the Apple Cup? Okay.
It's the Apple Cup. Yeah.
I appreciate that. This is your Washington Huskies at your Washington State Cougars. The Huskies are favored by 2 points. The over-under is, frankly, a slightly disappointing 59.
Yeah, I saw that.
So I mean, entertainment value. And this is the late night game. This is 10:30 on ESPN. Entertainment value off the charts. Carla, what's going to happen football wise?
I would say lay low on the turkey on Saturday, because you don't want to hit that food coma, because you got to stay up late for this one.
Good
right?
point.
So
Good point.
Eat your turkey leftovers on Friday. Don't hit the turkey on Saturday, and you're probably going to want to caffeinate mid-afternoon, right, to make it up to stay up this late. Because it's a stupid late game. I tried staying up last weekend for Oregon, Utah, and only made it to halftime. I was like, nope, I'm done. Can't do this.
You did better than I did.
So, but this one you really do want to try to stay up for, even just for the first half, because there's not going to be a lot of defense in this game. And Michael Penix Jr. should, maybe even in the first half, surpass 4,000 yards passing on the season. He only needs 150 yards. He's 150 yards away from 4,000 yards on the season. That could happen in the first half, because neither of these teams play defense.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
I take the over. I'm disappointed by that, by the Fanatics as well.
It's weird that would be that low.
It feels low. I think the Huskies are the pick here, but this game's on the Palouse. like you never know what's gonna happen there. Now we don't have the intrigue of Mike Leach anymore, but you still have that mystical Cougars Palouse. Will there be fog? Maybe
it's especially there, yeah, and it's just it could be snowing.
It could.
It's in what is actually a desert, so there could be fog. There could be Bedouins sweeping in from the sand dunes. You just have no idea.
Yeah, the number of times we've watched this game and we can't see the field because something, fog, snow, whatever. The Huskies are the better team, but this game's gonna get bonkers as heck. I'll take the Huskies, but it wouldn't stun me if the Cougars win this at home.
This one I can say I truly do not care. I have I have nothing involved. Personally invested in this matchup, but if for some reason I am still awake at 10:30 on Saturday. I am going to turn this on in hopes of multiple touchdowns before I get so tired that I have to go to bed. So if the game starts at 10:30, if I can see, let's say 5 touchdowns between 10:30 and 11, going to be happy.
And
Washington,
that could happen.
It could. We're going to see Michael Penix over 4,000 yards. And maybe in that same period of time, could he get to 30 touchdowns, before halftime? Yeah, he could. It's a possibility. It's just this is purely for fun. Huskies are the pick. But man, the Apple Cup is going to be a great, great time. And if you can stay up, you absolutely should. Boys and girls, you can hear the Carla and Crappy Show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, and a variety of other podcasting hosts. You can watch us on YouTube or on the show's Facebook page. If you like us, please subscribe, rate, and review. If you don't, mind your own damn business. Be sure to come back next week to see exactly how wrong we were, and also because it's next week is championship week. Champion. We will have AJ on live with us so he can correct my pronunciation, which apparently is a thing I need a lot of help with. Championship week. Carla, do you have a final thought?
I have 2 very quick final thoughts.
2.
First, because I have to bring this up, Middle Blue Raiders going bowling. Didn't have that in the top of the show.
Awesome.
Really, really awesome. They won that game at home last week against FAU. So great way to send off the seniors. They're heading to Miami this week.
I've heard this before.
Yes.
I've heard this story.
Yeah. And the last time the Blue Raiders were in Miami, it went really, really well. And this time they're playing a not so great FIU team. A win here would put Middle at 7-5 on the year, improve bowl options. So really like the prospects here. This game is at 6 Eastern on Saturday, and it's actually free to watch because it's on ESPN 3. Find your streaming sticks, you can watch it for free.
Nice.
And finally, just because this game suddenly got very, very intriguing. Happening just down the street from me here on the west end of Nashville, Tennessee at Vandy, 7:30 Eastern, Saturday night on the SEC network. Unfortunately, I mean, yes, it sucks. Hendon Hooker out with a torn ACL. Vandy's won 2 straight, needs a win for bowl eligibility.
Who's winning, Carla? Who you got?
Can the doors go bowling?
Can I mean, whether or not the bowl thing happens, can Vandy beat Tennessee?
With a healthy Hendon Hooker, no. Absolutely not.
Absolutely, yes, I agree.
But without Hooker, who's been kind of their primary offensive threat, it's reachable. I don't know if it'll happen. But man, it's intriguing. And you have to think where the momentum is right now.
Absolutely.
It's all on the Vanderbilt sideline because Tennessee is deflated after what has been a really, really, really good season for them. To have it end this way just sucks on so many levels. But they don't have a lot to play for here, and Vandy does. I really want to take Vanderbilt here.
What happens? What would happen with a Vandy Middle bowl game matchup?
I don't know where that would be. That would be fun. It wouldn't be the Music City Bowl because the tie-in with the Big Ten. Yeah. And that would more than likely be Vanderbilt's bowl game. They would, no, because they wouldn't be high enough in the SEC. It could happen, depending on where they would end. That would be intriguing.
We will revisit this obviously when we know the results for this weekend's games. But that might be a question that you should expect if for some reason Vanderbilt is able to win this game. That'd be fun.
Yeah, it would be fun. So keep this scoreboard. Watch this one. If it starts getting close in the second half, because there's a lot of good stuff happening Saturday night. So I wouldn't say dedicate a stream to this, but scoreboard, watch it. Flip to the SEC network if it gets interesting.
Okay. I have no thoughts. thoughts about one game, and you guys know what that is. All season, before the season, when I built the video intro for the show this year, I included a photograph of what's his name, Hutchison, knocking CJ Stroud on his ass in Ann Arbor a year ago. And that was just so every time I looked at the intro to the Carla and Crappy show this season, I had that reminder of not just losing, but getting beat, physically getting beat in Ann Arbor. As I said earlier, I really wish last weekend's game was different. I'm convinced that Ohio State knows how to win weird games, and you know, that's good. I want to see that same kind of physicality. I've seen it in spurts, and I have to sort of go on faith that that's going to show up on Saturday, and it needs to. That's all that Michigan has done all season. So I think it will. I think my efforts, my mojo, and my focus on this game all fall long will manifest. I assume for the last 360-ish days that the folks involved with the Ohio State football program, because they've talked about this every day. Don't let the players lie to you. Don't let anybody, Brian Day. No. Every day they've talked about this every single day. There are reminders of it every single day. There's a moment in the HBO's excellent hour-long documentary about the rivalry that aired a million years ago. This was the late 2000s. Dan Deerdorf, Michigan player, after they upset Ohio State in Ann Arbor in 1969, which was Woody's best team. The year after they won the national championship, more experienced, destroyed everybody, and then went up to Ann Arbor and lost to Michigan and Bo Schembechler. Deerdorf talks about riding the buses into Columbus, into the stadium in 1970, and he just laughs and says, "Man, they were ready for us." And they were, and it was all of Columbus, but specifically it was that Ohio State football team, and that was a beatdown. I don't know that's what's going to happen to the same degree. Situation similar, and I will say in just a moment to reiterate again what this season's focus has been for me. But first, we will thank Drew Powell, my nephew, for joining us. It was fantastic for him. I cannot imagine being a full-time college football player and a full-time student at an Ivy League school or at any school, like I was an academic genius. It was terrific to hear from him, and hopefully that is something we can do again soon. I want to thank everybody, all of you guys, for watching and listening and doing all the things that you do. If you are related to Drew Powell, you should listen to the show. As I said before, 4 or 5 times this week. I think, what would it hurt? I want to thank AJ. Yes.
I'm saying you could take it with you as you're driving to wherever you're driving to for the holiday, because I think the show's long enough to take a nice long road trip. So
I think so. It's gonna be a long one. I want to thank AJ for his contributions. He will be joining us for championship week next week. Carla,
yes.
Again, this has been awesome. Going to be fun weekend for Middle and for Vandy and for Penn State, and I hope for my Buckeyes. And folks, all that's left to say is, number 1, cheers.
Cheers.
Number 2, go Bobcats. Number 3, beat the team up north. Thank you, guys. Have an awesome week of college football, and we will see you back here for championship week next week.
Thank you.